Okay, hello. Thanks for still hanging in there with us. We are about to start our pitch session. Yay! There are 5 pitches in total. Each can only be 5 minutes long and not a second longer, okay? We will put the links in the chat if you would like to take a closer look after the pitches. Meanwhile, at 1:30, there will be a mini language learning lesson where you can learn some Basque, okay? So I'll leave you there.
All right. Hello, everyone. Looks like I'm live. Good to see you all. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. All right. How's that? Can you see my screen? Give me a message in the chat. Looks like you can. Good stuff. All right, let's get started. Hey, everyone. I'm TJ from Chatterbug. If you watched last year's Chatterconf, you might remember me. That's where I pitched our mobile app, Chatterbug Streams, which is where we host interactive language learning live streams. Now, a lot has happened since that pitch, I must say. Chatterbug Streams has actually become our entire company focus. So much so that the Chatterbug app, the Streams app, is now simply called Chatterbug. We have 100,000 active users at this point, which is awesome. And so I'm hoping that what I pitched to you today is going to be just as successful. So to start off, let's have a look at these logos. I'm 99% sure that you recognize all of them. But what do they have in common? Video content, obviously. But what I'm actually referring to is this. TikTok. All of these companies in the past year or so have introduced TikTok-style short-form videos to their platforms. With Instagram, it's Reels, of course. With YouTube, it's Shorts. Snapchat has got Spotlight, though I'm not sure I actually know anyone who uses that. And Netflix finally has got Quick Laughs, which even has a lol button, which I find awesome. And all of this is for good reason. Users love this type of short form content. It's highly engaging. It cuts straight to the good stuff. And even those with the shortest of attention spans are likely to be sucked in and watching a handful, at least, of these swipeable videos. In the end of the day, it's addictive. So you can probably see where I'm going with this. This is the part of the pitch where I tell you Chatterbug is jumping on this bandwagon. But please hear me out. We believe that there is enormous potential in this format of short form videos for language learners in particular. Imagine if you could use that engagement that you feel when you're swiping through these videos on TikTok, for example, if you could use this motivation to learn vocab, to learn grammar tricks, to learn about the culture inherent to the language that you're learning. Well, now you can. Introducing Chatterbug Shorts. So from now on, we are offering short form language learning videos right from our app in English, French, German, and Spanish. We already have hundreds of these videos live in the app ready for you to watch. So these videos can be anything from an entertaining skit about, I don't know, an idiom in the language you're learning, an entertaining explanation of a grammar point, maybe, or even just speakers putting words into context. So why do we believe in this? Why do we think it works? Well, as I was saying before, TikTok and co have proven that that this format, this short form video, is super engaging and addictive. In a language learning context, you could perhaps think of the instant gratification we talk about when we talk about these apps as learning something at one single glance. And if it's funny, then bonus points. And that's exactly what Shorts provides. And as a way to introduce vocab, Shorts is as quick, but way better than flashcards, for example. You're actually seeing the words spoken in context from real speakers. You're hearing that pronunciation. And you're also seeing these colloquial cues. You're seeing the humor that speakers of the language use in the real world, rather than just text on a screen. There's so much more context there, as we know is so important in language learning. So what would this pitch be without showing you some actual shorts? This first one's in German. It's probably the most advanced one, but let's jump into it.
Sag mal, siehst du das wirklich nicht? Du hast wohl Tomaten auf den Augen.
Stimmt.
Tomaten auf den Augen haben. Etwas, das alle sehen können, nicht sehen.
Great. So if you don't speak German, you might not have gotten that one. What Max is doing is using a clever skit to introduce this popular idiom to have tomatoes on your eyes, which means to not see something which everyone else can see. So let's move into another one that you probably all kind of understand. It's in English.
Hey, I just scored a perfect game. That's amazing. I'm bowled over.
I hope you're all bowled over by this pitch. And this is possibly my favorite one ever in Spanish.
Quiero montar mi bicicleta, quiero montar mi bici, quiero montar mi bicicleta, quiero decir sus partes también. El manillar, el freno, el sillín, el cuadro, la cadena, los pedales, o que acaba de pasar, se me pincha una rueda y lo que quiero es...
Amazing. I love that one. And finally, one in French. Let's take a look.
L'orange, l'orange, la clémentine.
Le citron, c'est acide.
Le pamplemousse, pamplemousse.
Voilà, les agrumes.
Pamplemousse. I love that one. Okay, and that's shorts. So what I just showed you is only a tiny range, tiny selection of all the formats that we're doing, from silly to more serious, from beginner to more advanced. So I'd strongly encourage you, if you don't have the app already, to download it, check it out, start swiping through the videos in your preferred language. There's a QR code on your screen right now, which you can scan to download the app. I will also post a link to the landing page in the chat after my pitch. So strongly encourage you to try it out. But before you go, one more thing. If Shorts wasn't exciting enough, we actually have even bigger plans for it. So Shorts are currently produced in-house by our streamers, as I know a lot of you are already familiar with, by Chatterbug team, by selected external collaborators like influencers, for example. But we want to open Shorts up to our community of language learners. We want to let our users upload their own content. And so this is a pitch for another day, I would say. It's a whole thing. But if you're interested in being one of the first users to be able to do this, I'll post a link in the chat where you can register your interest to become one of our first beta users. So that's it for now. I hope that you're as excited about Shorts as I am. And thanks for listening to my pitch. See you later.
Well, thank you for inviting me. My name is Kira Palin, and I learned Italian reading comic books in Rome when I was going to school there. And when I went to the Lycée Français of Vienna, I saw all my friends reading Asterix and Tintin and such. So when technology came around, I thought that doing digitized, interactive, gamified comic books to teach languages would be a wonderful idea. So I will show you how that works. Okay. So I launched an application that is called Lingo Thing. And what I do is I take comic books from all over the world. We have 21 publishers, and we integrate them into this application. I have 5 languages on it, and you just touch a bubble.
A world without fees, without taxes. This is the future cryptocurrency can offer.
Un monde sans frais, sans taxes. Voilà l'avenir que promettent les crypto-monnaies.
And the app has all sorts of features, such as you can hear the comic book read to you, you can switch languages anytime, you can hear it in slow. How do I, okay. And the basis of the whole idea is that narrative context allows for empathic hooks, which makes the reader and the hearer involved in the story and thus interested in learning a language. And it's almost subliminal in the sense that no effort is made whatsoever. It's just fun. To give you another idea of how this app works, we're the only audiographic novel, and we're going to add manga and all sorts of and webtoons to it. But in essence, it's all about storytelling, which is the human factor that keeps us all together. And we have all different kinds of age, as well as the ability of learning two things at the same time, such as, for instance, graphic novels about history, and you learn a language. It's also narrative content in learning has been proven to be most effective. Gamifying it is even better, especially when you have goals. And unifying the language learning, the creation, the professional development, and the entertainment is where we actually stand. Okay, and the comic book world is huge. So it really caters to all interests worldwide. This is all the linguists that say how great we are and so on. Wait a second, stop sharing. So what I really wanted to talk about was about narrative content and how important it is to keep attention alive and engagement. And engagement being the key. Once you have the language learner involved, they retain because of context and because of empathy. And that's what we do. And that's all really that I had to say.
Hello, can you all hear me? Okay, I think I'm live. Am I? Yes. Hello, Chatterconf. First of all, let me apologize for my huge sore throat. You're gonna have to bear with me for a little bit. Thank God conferences are online. And let me try to share my screen. Give me a second. I think that is working. Right, so hello. Today I want to talk to you about polyglots, but first a little bit about myself. I think I skipped one slide. Oh, no. Yes, here. So hi, I'm a software engineer. I have 10 years experience in this field. I also love learning language, though, and I also love learning about languages. But I'm also neurodivergent and I have social anxiety. And if you paid attention to what Scott was saying in his keynote, he said something that I agree, which is that anxiety is the top one killer of language learning. So how have I learned some languages to fluency with that? I don't know, but I have this firsthand experience in having a very hard time dealing with this. And by this, I mean the fact of studying a language for a very long time and still struggling with basic communication. There are things where you can understand lots of things, but you can't really speak or express yourself. And this is where Polyglots comes in, right? So if you look at the common language learning apps that you see nowadays, you can divide them in sort of this group of apps that have little or no experience, or no opportunity for creative freedom. For example, they're going to have exercises like fill the blanks, right? And you either have that or you have language exchange, which is full unguided conversation with strangers. And I don't know about you, how you feel about that, but what I feel is that there's kind of nothing in between. And this is where I wanted to work with, right? So this is where Polyglots comes in, with low stress opportunity to use language and learn language in this social communication way, but in a more relaxed environment, right? So what is Polyglots? So the main idea is that it has nothing to do with memorizing, but expressing, right? So the game itself is a social image guessing game. So you have images, you write about it, and you're playing with other people who have to understand what you just said and choose the correct image. So you're actually writing with a communication purpose. You're not just like writing something for the beyond, right? The other thing about that is that you can play lots of fast rounds with low stakes, right? So you don't really have to engage in a whole dialogue and make sure that you know what to talk about. You have total freedom to write creatively. You pick a topic, you pick an image, and you write whatever you want. So if you're not very comfortable yet, you can write very short sentences. You can write very simple sentences if you're still like in a beginner level, or you can write like full poetry and trivias. It's really up to you. But one point of the app that I'm really proud of is the word hint feature. So as a software engineer, I developed an AI tailored way to figure out what to suggest to you. And this is based on what you have written so far in the game. So the game will suggest words that you haven't used yet. For example, words that are popular for this image with a dictionary description, but ideally words that are new to you, so you can learn stuff while you express yourself, and also to help you get unstuck in case you don't know what to say yet. And that's pretty much it. So this is how you get to learn language through usage. And in some other news, the iOS app is launching today here at Chatterconf right now. I literally just clicked on a button to deploy our website with the updated link. So the app, I have been downloading it for Android for a long time. And today, finally, the app is moving from the beta test on iOS to being on the App Store. So you can go there right now on our website, polyglots.app, and download the iOS version 2. And if you are fast, I don't know how you can communicate with me on the website, on the chat, but I'm going to put the link there as well. And the first person who downloads the app and tells me their username is going to get a free 1-year subscription. So the app is totally free, but there are some extra features in a subscription. And the first person who tells me their username is going to get 1 year free of that. And this is pretty much it. Oh no, there's something else, which is the fact that this project is being built fully on public. So our Notion management, everything about this project and this app is public to everyone. You can find the link online. This is it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bill, and I'll be pitching Legible, which is an app by Legible Labs, as soon as I can share my screen here. Okay, so Legible is a pretty simple app. The idea is to transform social media into a tool for language acquisition. And we're building Legible because we kind of believe fundamentally in input-based methods, that is to say, in media immersion. What is media immersion? And media immersion is simply the practice of acquiring a language by reading, listening to, and watching native media content in that language. And already today, we've seen the gravity of this approach from earlier presentations in the pitch session with Chatterbug shorts and whatnot. But we think immersion learning is going to completely change the consumer language learning space. And I have a couple examples here. This is an attempt to kind of map the immersion learning ecosystem. There are apps here, Language Reactor, for example, which is a Chrome extension that layers on top of Netflix that have millions and millions of users. LingoPie is a sort of native app that has licensed TV content to do something similar to language learning with Netflix. Eva is using books and other forms of kind of native content. They supposedly have 3.5 million monthly active users. So we're seeing a lot of traction in this space. And what we're not seeing much of, though, is native social media being used in this context. And we think that actually social media is really good for language acquisition. And I'll offer a couple reasons for that. One has been touched on earlier by Tom, which is that it's short. It fits the modern attention span. The other is that sort of more fundamental. It's that what is social media at the end of the day? It's a vast store of user-generated content that takes tons of forms and themes, memes, news, literature, debate, sports, jokes, academic discourse, industry talk, niche interests, SOL, or what we call slice of life. All of this is present on Twitter. And what these platforms do is, in a personalized way, match that content to users at the right time. And so we think actually recommender systems, these machine learning algorithms that lie underneath these platforms, could be used effectively for language learning. As long as we can keep users engaged, we can recommend them content that is both engaging and comprehensible. We can effectively support their acquisition of a language. So we're building our attempt at this. We're building on Twitter right now. Twitter is kind of the only social media app that exposes a fulsome developer API. And so we have an alpha that we're calling an alpha, not quite a beta yet. But our current app is basically curated feeds of content that we think is suitable for intermediate language learners with an inline dictionary. This looks something like Link, if you're familiar with Link, but we've aimed to sort of simplify the interface and user experience. So we have inline dictionary machine translation, and then you can simply capture a tweet as a contextualized flashcard. And those flashcards will go into a space repetition system. I think we have a little demo of that later in the presentation. So I've been using this app. I've been reading French and Twitter for over a year, but I've been using our app, and I think we can kind of claim to support some clear benefits, even as it stands now, without the future features that we like to build. And the first one is just rapid vocabulary acquisition. You get exposed to a lot of vocabulary, a lot of idioms, and this is vocab across a kind of a spectrum of registers. So everything from, like I said, formal academic discourse to slang and internet speech, tons of idiomatic language. It's all there on Twitter. You just kind of have to find it, and we're going to help you do that. Improve cultural awareness. So I kind of know a lot about what's going on in France. There's an election around the corner. I know a lot about the debates and concerns that animate French public life, and I learned all that on Twitter and using this app. And lastly, we kind of have polyglot support first class, so you can read multiple languages in legible, and you can make progress in multiple languages at the same time. So we're just getting started. We haven't launched the app yet. We want to add more languages. We think there's opportunities to sort of blend space repetition and immersion. So we could say, schedule tweets on your feed that contain words that you're trying to learn that you haven't necessarily captured as flashcards yourself. We're excited about that. We're also excited about integrations. So last year at Chatterconf, I gave a pitch for interoperability between language learning apps, which doesn't quite yet exist, but this app could really support users in a number of ways, depending on what stage they're in various different curricula. We of course want to add a little bit more video and audio, and we'd love to help users practice their output as opposed to kind of just input. We are Legible Labs. We're a small team. You can find us at legiblelabs.com and at Legible Labs on Twitter. Thank you very much.
Hey, can everyone hear me? Awesome. Hi, I'm Amr El-Shimi. Excited to be here today, pitch my idea. Let me share my screen. I am sharing with you today my idea for flashcards that speak to you. So Navocards. Real simple flashcards, tried and true method of building vocabulary. The current problem that I see with flashcards is they don't help you improve pronunciation or listening comprehension. And real life example, I had been learning some Hungarian, and the spelling's quite tricky at times, especially for native English speakers. So you see the SZ, and that is pronounced as an S. So Sia for hi is pronounced Sia. So the idea is with Navocards, this is a flashcard application app with native voice. So we crowdsource native speakers to make recordings for flashcards that you've built for yourself. So you go into the app, create your flashcards, and with a click of a button, you request for native speakers to add voice to your cards. The recordings are made, and then you can practice knowing that the recordings you have are native speakers. So benefits really are helping you build your vocabulary in a holistic method. So not only are you learning the word itself, you're learning how it's pronounced, how to pronounce it. So focusing really on that pronunciation and listening comprehension piece. And I think the question I get asked as well, aren't there a ton of other flashcard apps out there? And the answer is yes, there are hundreds, if not thousands. And some of them even offer you voice recordings, or at least the ability to add voice recordings to your cards. But ultimately, it doesn't solve the problem. Just because I can add audio doesn't mean it's the right thing. If I'm doing my own recordings, I'm not sure of my pronunciation. Maybe I'm not confident with my accent. I want to hear that of a native speaker. So unless I have access to a native speaker sitting next to me who can do the recordings for me, adding audio doesn't really help. And the way I'm envisioning this is really a freemium model. So there would be no ads, but the catch is, in order to use this, each session you have, you are required to give 5 voice clips. And so that helps build out the voice library, and then limiting the amount of flashcard decks you can create. So again, it would be a freemium model where you can buy premium for about $60 a year. You get unlimited decks. You don't have to make voice recordings. And you can also create groups, so create semi-private groups, so you can share your cards with a certain group. So if you're in a class setting, that really works out well. And that's it.
Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the pitch session. There were so many really exciting products out there. So I hope you're all downloading all the apps as we speak. The next part of our conference is a stream, actually. So we're going to be seeing how like a Chatterbug stream is. It will be streamed here, but also on the app. So while you're in the App Store, download the Chatterbug app, and you can have the full streams experience. So our streamers today are Max and Steffi. And Steffi is a German content creator from Berlin and founded Lerne Deutsch, which is also where you can find her, at Lerne Deutsch, to help people from all over the world learn German in a fun, approachable way that everyone can engage with. And Max is a bilingual theatre director from London who recently moved to Berlin and now works at Chatterbug as a streamer. And his many years of experience in theatre and his keen interest in learning languages come together to produce entertaining and educational streams. And I think some of you in the chat might know Max. I've seen a couple of familiar names. I recognize you from the streams chat.